Okay, here we go again. Playing music. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, this is show number 38, and I've included the past supplemental shows, as I've called them before, in this count, because monumental change. I'm going to be doing this every week for the foreseeable future. I was doing this every other week because of it's just kind of a lot like work. I mean, homework. I'm retired. I don't want to extend myself, but okay, there's so many damn things happening now in the world, in this country, and blah, 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 both good and bad, that I just feel a certain obligation to my thousands and thousands of listeners out there. And so here I am, taking care of my obligations. Okay. The views of the Midnight Skeptic should be the views of Petaluma Community Access and all of its affiliates and this radio station, KPCA LP 103.3 FM. Okay? And I emphasize this, if any of my listeners out there want to communicate with me or send me suggestions or hate mail, do it by email. The Midnight Skeptic, all lowercase, all one word, at gmail.com. I'll get it and I'll give it the proper consideration. All of these. Oh, there is one consideration that I am taking seriously, sent to me by Stan Gustafson. He objects for some reason to my coffee cup that doesn't have a handle. Well, okay, I thought about it, but this cup has been with me so long that I decided that any new cup would not have the same sentimental value that this one does. So, sorry, Stan, but I'm not going to change my coffee cup. But good suggestion anyway. And Stan wants me to incorporate more good news in my shows, which is a good one. I'm going to try, because by nature, I'm not a morose, sad, angry person. Specifically, I'm not an angry person. I don't let Republicans get to me. I'm not going to be angry. I go by the saying of the Dalai Lama, and this is a quote, it's something he said: anger is the ultimate destroyer of your own peace of mind. I go by that wholeheartedly. And I think at this advanced age, I'm not going to tell you how old I actually am, but it's advanced. I've just excised anger from my persona. I'm just not angry anymore. Although some of the things I say on the Midnight Skeptic may seem like I'm angry. Okay, enough of all this crap. I'm going to do the shout-outs now real quick. And, I have been making a mistake lo these many months, Mickey Huff, the godfather of Project Censored, he does have a show on KPCA-LP 103.3 FM, and it is on Wednesday, which is today. And, well, it's already over because he records his show at 1 o'clock on KPCA-LP 103.3 FM. I've been saying all along that it was 3 o'clock. Well, I was wrong. Believe it or not, the Midnight Skeptic was wrong. But his show does get repeated on KPFA 94.1 over in Berkeley on Fridays at 1 o'clock. Okay, quick sip of coffee here. Okay, more shout-outs. Okay, that was Mickey Huff. He's living in Sacramento now with his wife. I think that was Nick that just walked in the front door. Okay. Hey, Nick. Hi. He says hi to all the thousands and thousands of listeners out there. Okay. East Coasters, Geraldine Goldfinger, Dr. David Rubin, Nelson and Alice Lydell down in Sarasota, Florida, and Amelia Beamer in the, oh God, where is she? I'm having a brain freeze on her town. It's up near St. Augustine. Anyway, Arizona, my brother Brandon and his daughter Andrea, she's a nurse. And she and her husband, Tim Lawton, plus their 3 little terrorists, are living near my brother in Santan Valley. I'm not sure the hospital she works at, but take care of yourself, Andrea. Okay, local people, Stan and Kathy down in Pacifica, Rich and Kathy over in Sebastopol, Tim Conrad here in Petaluma, good photographer, excellent photographer, and ex-Sonora person, as am I. Nariman here in Petaluma. Okay, the Sonora crowd, Bob and Sandy Fisher, Brad and Martha Fisher, who Martha is also a nurse up in Sonora. I'm not sure of the elder care facility that she's a nurse at, but she's a CNA up there. Okay, Judy May, Leonidas Maciel, Darrell Larson, Rosie Lopez Negrete, and then down in Patagonia, Arizona, Karina Hilliard, my favorite snake removal technician in the whole wide world. Okay, that's all out of the way. I'm going to start off with some good news. Well, I think it's good news. It's kind of good news for me, and I hate to say that the passing of anyone is good news, but this guy was vile and disgusting. And it was Todd Akin. He is the Republican politician that made the legitimate rape remark. Now, I was running a contest the last couple of shows. Well, last week I announced the winner of it. This guy didn't win, but he was one of the 6 Republican quotes that I quoted, and asked my viewers to vote on which is the most vile and disgusting quote made by a Republican politician concerning women and abortion and pregnancy. And, okay, well, here was his quote. In addition, if it was a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down. Well, in addition to just being wrong, it's stupid, and Republicans like him are just ignorant and elevating ignorance to an art form almost. Okay, let's see. Let me see. I think there should be some punishment for the rapist he's talking about. But the punishment ought to be of the rapist and not attacking the child. Well, at 6 weeks, which is the Texas version of the abortion law, it's not a child. It's not a child at any point during the pregnancy. At 6 weeks, it's just a undifferentiated group of cells that has the potential to become a fetus and then eventually a child when it gets born. Okay, and those are this business about heartbeat and murdering a child, which is the pro-life people blather on about, is just irrelevant. But the fact that this guy used the word legitimate rape in his blatherings gives you the mindset of Republican politicians. They do not believe women. And yeah, occasionally there is a false report of rape for whatever reason, but rape is prevalent, and sexual harassment is prevalent, especially in Republican male circles. Okay, enough of that. Anyway, Todd Aiken passed away about 5 days ago. I'm not sure of the exact date, but okay. All right, moving on. The Oath Keepers. That vile, extremist, anti-government arm of the Republican Party was founded by Stuart Rhodes, Rhodes, in 2009. Well, why were they formed? Well, who was elected president in that year, or who was inaugurated president in that year, 2009? Barack Obama. Okay, that's one of the things that Republicans and Oath Keepers and those of their ilk just could not abide. So anyway, Oath Keepers were formed in 2009. And as a result, I'm saying that. The article I got this from didn't say that, but I'm saying they wouldn't have formed had it not been for Barack Obama's election. The Tea Party wouldn't have gained as many followers and adherents as they did were it not for the election of Barack Obama. They are racists. And Stuart Rhodes called for a quote-unquote new civil war. Okay, anyway, Twitter has banned the Oath Keepers off their platform, as well as Stuart Rhodes himself. Twitter has a policy against violent extremism, and also the Southern Poverty Law Center has declared the Oath Keepers, quote, one of the largest radical anti-government organizations in the United States. The Oath Keepers say that the government is working, this is a quote, they say that the government is working to destroy the liberties and freedom of Americans. Okay. And Rhodes, and I was really surprised to hear this, Rhodes is a Yale Law School graduate and an ex-U.S. Army paratrooper. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio has launched an investigation into a membership list of Oath Keepers that was hacked, that includes, this list includes the names of active New York Police Department officers and GOP public officials. Hey, that's Nick going upstairs to his room. See you later, Nick. Yeah. Okay. Here's a list of some of the other armed insurrectionists out there that we should do something about, because they recruit ex-military people, some of them, and active police department and sheriff's department people, some of them. Okay, 3%ers. The Boogaloo Boys, the Proud Boys, and the ones that plotted against Michigan's governor, the Wolverine Watchers. Boy, those guys sound cool. And also the Atomwaffen Division. Let's see. Caleb Cole is based in Seattle, and he is the nominal leader of the Atomwaffen. And yes, they are Nazis. Okay. If there's any 3%ers or Oath Keepers out there that listen to this show, and I doubt if there is, come get me. I'm not going to stop saying this stuff. Okay. Rolling coal. Have any of my listeners out there heard of this? Well, here I am to explain what a sickening prospect it is. Okay. Rolling coal. The article in the newspaper that drew my attention to this was a 16-year-old Texan. Of course, it's a Texan or some southern dickwad. He injured 6 cyclists. 3 of them were hospitalized near Waller, Texas. 8 cyclists were in this group along the side of the road, and this 16-year-old Texan driving his pickup truck that had been modified, as I will explain this modification to you. But anyway, he blasted out a bunch of black smoke out of his tailpipe, hoping to disrupt the lives and show his superiority to these bicyclists. You know, he instead hit them. Okay, and all right. Anyway, 6 of them were injured, and so far as I can find out, nothing has been done about this kid. Okay, let me explain what rolling coal is. Rolling coal is the practice of modifying a diesel engine in a pickup truck. It's almost always a pickup truck. One of these 4x4s or Dodge Rams. To create my handwriting strikes again. Okay, to increase the amount of fuel entering the engine in order to emit large amounts of black exhaust smoke from the tailpipe. Okay, pedestrians, joggers, cyclists, and electric vehicles, especially the Prius, are the perceived enemies of the GOP, the MAGA heads, the conservatives, Trumpers, in the culture wars between the aforementioned group. You know, GOP, MAGA heads, Trumpers, conservatives, against the more liberal members of our society who care about the environment and care about social justice, and that phrase will come up a little later. Okay, there's a Facebook site for coal runners, and they have about 15,000 members on this site, and people who ride bikes, walk or jog or drive Priuses, they lump together with the epithet tree huggers. Okay. And those are the types of people, among other types, that went to on January 6th to our Capitol and invaded and spread excrement and stole things and beat up Capitol police officers. Those are the Trumpers that we've just somehow got to vote out of office in this country. There's always going to be about 20% or 25% of our populace that fall into this creepy category of rolling collars and anti-vaxxers and anti-maxxers and otherwise violent jerks. Okay. Here's another thing that I ran across. Democrats and liberals, in trying to convince anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers, know that they will not get vaccinated out of spite. I said on last week's show that the vast majority of anti-vaxxers and anti-maskers are just petulant 4-year-olds. And I don't mean to insult 4-year-olds, but okay. They fold their arms and they stamp their feet and say, "You can't make me." Okay, now, well, despite the fact that the death rates down in the states and counties that voted for Trump are just dying off in greater numbers. So the conservative GOP, anti-masker, Trumpers, they're losing their voters because of their reluctance to take care of themselves or their families or neighbors. Okay. John Nolte, and I haven't looked up to see exactly who he is. He appeared on Breitbart, which was formerly this Steve Bannon's baby. He's an editor-at-large on Breitbart. That's who he is. He's accusing liberals and Democrats of using reverse psychology against the anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers. He's claiming that Democrats and liberals are encouraging the reluctant anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers to get vaccinated, knowing that out of spite, they will just not do it because of, "You can't make me." So he's accusing the liberals of using reverse psychology to get them to not get vaccinated because they'll die eventually. Okay. In that vein, I want to talk a little bit about America's Frontline Doctors, the AFLDS. Okay. It's a group of stupid doctors, and there are such things. In fact, quite a few of them. Okay. They were organized right at the start of this COVID-19 outbreak last year in February and March, back when the orange bloat bag was still our president. They were the ones that they wanted us to start using hydrochloroquine, and I imagine that they have evolved into recommending ivermectin. Okay, that's that group. And they were on the news in front of the Capitol building, all in their white lab coats. And this one female doctor who originally was from Africa, that she was the one that mainly promoted the hydrochloroquine. For a while, she was Trump's favorite doctor. She's the one that claimed that many of women's health issues resulted from having sex with demons. That girl, or that lady, or whatever she is. She's one of the members of America's Frontline Doctors. Okay. And there's COVID Critical Care Alliance, FLCCC, that came out of that. They are the promoters currently of ivermectin. Paul Marik, M-A-R-I-K, M.D. He's a professor at Eastern Virginia Medical School. He's the inventor of the Marik cocktail. And he's endorsed, or the cocktail is endorsed by the FLCCC. And it contains a high dose of vitamin C, hydrocortisone, and vitamin B1. Sorry. Okay, it was originally developed as a treatment for sepsis, and it's recommend. Oh, shoot. My handwriting strikes again. Okay. Hang on out there. Okay, in a randomized trial that was done by other medical schools, it has proven to be ineffective in treatment of sepsis. And this Dr. Paul Marik, recommended that it be used as a treatment for COVID-19. Marik and his colleagues formed the FLCCC. Let me remind you what that is. That's the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance, FLCCC. And anyway, it was proven ineffective by randomized trials, the Marik cocktail. Okay, the AFLDS, Frontline Doctors, America's Frontline Doctors. Okay, it was originally founded by Simone Gold, G-O-L-D, a doctor who was arrested for her involvement with the January 6th insurrection. On July 27th of last year, in front of the Supreme Court building in D.C., it wasn't on the Capitol steps. My mistake. My notes are a bit out of order here. But a 12-physician posed resplendent in their white lab coats, the AFLDS, America's Frontline Doctors, was introduced by Jenny Beth Martin, founding CEO of the Tea Party Patriots. Okay. Hydroxychloroquine is one of the things that this group of doctors is for. They are against mask mandates and lockdowns. Okay, wait a minute. Oh, that lady doctor from Africa, she's Dr. Stella Emmanuel. And she's one of Gold's cohorts. geez. Simone Gold's cohorts and Dr. Stella Emanuel claimed that women's health issues are caused by them having sex with demons. That lady. Okay. These are all the Trumpers, and we wouldn't be talking about all these nutcases if it weren't for Donald Trump's being elected in 2016. Okay. One of these days, I've said this before on the show, I'm going to learn how to take organized notes. Okay. Enough of that stuff. Okay, good news. A new Oregon advocacy group, Our Shot Oregon, aims to counteract COVID-19 misinformation and is compiling a list of politicians, mostly conservatives and MAGA heads, who say all this misinformation and spout off from their mouths. The Our Shot Oregon dubs them the villains of the pandemic. Okay, Jake Weigler, Weigler, is the founder of this group. It's strictly volunteers. They don't do any fundraising. And Jake, was previously involved in gun law reform, trying to strengthen gun control legislation in Oregon. So I wish him well. Google this organization, Our Shot Oregon, if you want to find out more details about him. Okay. More good news. Stan, are you listening? Okay. Alex Jones has been ordered to pay damages to Sandy Hook families. Austin, Texas District Judge Maya Guerra Gamble ordered a default judgment. That means he didn't show up, or his lawyers didn't show up on the appointed court date. More coffee. Quick time check. Okay. Ordered a default judgment against the Alex Jones and his InfoWars, and against Free Speech Systems LLC, which is a front group that he set up to try to defend himself against people who object to the things that he says on his show. A jury will later determine the dollar amounts assessed to Alex Jones and his InfoWars. Okay. Believe me, when the amount of dollars that Alex Jones is going to be forced to pay, if it doesn't bankrupt him, and I hope it does, I will let all of my thousands and thousands of listeners know. Okay, more good news. The term ecocide, which itself is bad news, but it's now becoming a thing in legal circles internationally. It is a growing campaign to criminalize widespread environmental destruction. Okay, this just happened like this weekend. This oil pipeline burst down in Huntington Beach. And, oh boy, this oil spill is going to be with us for years before it's totally fixed and cleaned up. I should have included information about that company that owns the pipeline, but they are committing ecocide. Okay, lawyers are bringing a 165-word definition of it to the International Criminal Court. A panel of 12 legal experts from around the world last Tuesday, okay, I guess that would be the 28th, released a proposed definition for a new international crime called ecocide. I'm not going to, I don't have a copy of that 165-word definition anyway, but even if I had it, I wasn't going to read it all to you. But anyway, it covers severe and widespread or long-term environmental damage. Okay. One example of ecocide that I will tell you about is exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam. Most of my listeners of my age or 10 or 15 years younger are aware of Agent Orange. The younger cohort of my listeners, my thousands and thousands of listeners, are probably not aware of Agent Orange. But during the Vietnam War, the United States Air Force, and they were just the instrument of this. They didn't decide to do this. It was our government, our Defense Department. Okay, the United States Air Force sprayed 80 million liters of Agent Orange and other herbicides. Agent Orange is an herbicide. It's a chemical that kills off plants. And why were we spraying it? To expose the trails through the mountain jungles of Vietnam that the North Vietnamese army and the Viet Cong used to transport men and supplies to, where they needed to have their extra men that were fighting our troops. Okay. Anyway, it's hung on to a large extent in the rainforests of Vietnam, and our troops, a lot of them, became exposed to Agent Orange, especially the special forces guys that went up into the jungles and actually fought the North Vietnamese army. They were exposed to it. Not to mention the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong soldiers and civilians. It's a carcinogen. And I'm not sure of all the diseases that Agent Orange causes, but it's a real thing, and a lot of our veterans from that era are suffering the effects of diseases caused by Agent Orange. Okay. The land in Vietnam is continuing to be poisoned, and it inhibits the growth of farmers' crops in there even now, although a lot of the Agent Orange has dissipated. In fact, most of it is dissipated. Okay, so this is bad news, although in reality it's not going to go anywhere. Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, passed an anti-CRT bill with a list of words that can't be mentioned in classrooms. And of course, it's a Republican-controlled state house. Let's see now. The Wisconsin State Assembly passed on a 60-38 party line vote a bill to prohibit so-called CRT in Wisconsin school districts and charter schools. And this was passed yesterday. I've said before that the Midnight Skeptic is nothing if not right on top of new developments in ickiness. Okay. Here's a quote I ran across, and I'm not sure who said this, but wow, it opened my eyes. When you're used to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Okay, I agree with that. Okay. I'm not 100% buying into the feeling that all white males are creatures of undue privilege. Yes, we are to a large extent, but I'm kind of getting a bit tired of this privileged group talk. But we are. Okay. I've personally not been exposed to any of the, police stops while driving, black while driving things, or I've not been unduly looked at when I walk into stores. I've not suffered any of that. And I know that blacks are, in fact, subjected to that kind of treatment. So, yeah, in a way you can say that I do have white privilege. But anyway, I began to riff, and then I got off my notes here. I want to say that schools, grammar schools or high schools, none of them teach critical race theory. It's just a phrase that the ignorant Republicans and Trumpers and conservatives have seized upon to outlaw any mention of unequal race treatment in this country. And, okay, I'm going to say this, and I get in trouble for saying it now and then, and I'm going to piss off a lot of my, well, I don't have that many Republican friends, but the few that I do, and the few relatives that are Republicans, they're going to be mad at me. But most Republicans, I can say for sure now, are racists. And a lot of them are without even knowing they are, because they subscribe to the beliefs of the actual MAGA heads and Trumpers out there, the icky people that comprise about 20 to 25% of our population. Okay, I got to get back on my notes here. I'm sorry. What they're trying to prevent, the Wisconsin State Assembly passed on a 60 to 38 party line vote a bill to prohibit so-called CRT, critical race theory, in Wisconsin school districts and charter schools, and they don't want them teaching that. And this is a quote from the bill. A person bears responsibility for past acts committed by people of the same race or sex. Okay. Also, it bans teaching that a person is inherently racist or sexist by virtue of their race or sex. Well, no schools teach that. It's just setting up a straw man and ginning up the anger in their base, and then saying that we Republicans have a solution to this fake problem. On the last show, I went into what critical race theory was, that stems from a legal / economic / social theory of embedding the privileges of one group over another in certain societies. I'm not going to go into all of that again. This is on last week's Midnight Skeptic. It's on YouTube if you want to educate yourselves about what critical theory or critical race theory or critical feminist theory or critical class theory, which is Marxism, really. Okay. Anyway, look it up if you're that curious. An entire graduate school class on critical theory is yours for the taking. All you have to do is listen to the Midnight Skeptic on YouTube and save yourselves a whole bunch of money by not having to go to a graduate school somewhere. Okay, I got to get back on my notes again. Teaching that prohibits teaching that a person is inherently racist or sexist by virtue of the race or sex. Okay, and they appended a list of prohibited words that teachers cannot use in the state of Wisconsin. Okay, some of these words are woke, W-O-K-E, whiteness, white supremacy. I just can't imagine a grammar school teacher or even a high school history teacher. I'm sorry, I really have a severe echo in my headphones here. So it screws up the flow of my talking, such as it is. Okay. All right. The list of words that are prohibited. This law isn't going to go into effect. The governor is going to veto this. But the Republican legislators in Wisconsin are just, it's kabuki theater. And I don't mean to insult kabuki theater. I'm trying to insult Republicans. Okay, all right, let's get back to the notes. Okay, other words that are prohibited. Systemic racism. The word equity. Inclusivity. Patriarchy. Social justice. Okay, if complaints are made it's usually by a parent, and it goes through this process of investigation, and the teacher or the school is found guilty of teaching what they claim to be CRT or using any of these words, there will be a 10% reduction in state funds to that school district. Like I say, if you're listening to this in Wisconsin, probably not, but if you are, this bill is not going to get signed into law. So don't worry about it. I'm not truly worried about it. It's just that it's such an example of Republican stupidity and ignorance. Let me include that. And, okay, an attempt to gin up the anger of their equally ignorant and stupid base. Okay, more coffee. I need more coffee. After I get done recording this show, which this is Wednesday the 6th of October, I'm going to pour myself a glass of red wine. I'm going to get my cat Sasha and have her sit in my lap while I'm watching St. Louis Cardinals versus the LA Dodgers and wind myself down. Okay. Okay, good news. Okay, really. How much time do I have left? Okay, I've got enough time for this. I want to end this show on good news, and this is definitely good news. Okay, malaria. Okay, this caught my attention. The World Health Organization on Wednesday, that's today, this Wednesday, endorsed the first vaccine to prevent, not treat, but prevent malaria, debuting a tool that could save the lives of tens of thousands of children in Africa each year. Malaria is among the oldest known and deadliest of infectious diseases. It kills. Shoot. Ah! Oh, it gave a number of how many it kills each year, but somehow this didn't get printed out here. Okay, it kills a lot of people each year. The new vaccine is made by GlaxoSmithKline here in the United States. In fact, they're in the Raleigh-Durham area. And one of the listeners of the show, Herr Dr. David Rubin, who is retired now from GlaxoSmithKline, when I roomed with him back in the late 70s, he was a research lung doctor up at UCSF. But anyway, he got tired of writing grants and trying to find money to keep his research going. Anyway, he quit and went to work for GlaxoSmithKline to set up these medical trials for GlaxoSmithKline. Anyway, GlaxoSmithKline came up with this new vaccine, which rouses a child's immune system to thwart Plasmodium falciparum, the deadliest of 5 malaria pathogens and the most prevalent in Africa. The vaccine is not just a first for malaria, it is the first developed for any parasitic disease. In clinical trials, the vaccine had an efficacy of about 50% against severe malaria in the first year, but dropped close to zero by the 4th year. Okay, vaccines tend to gradually lose their effectiveness, and the trials did not measure the vaccine's impact on preventing deaths, which has led some experts to question whether it is a worthwhile investment in countries with countless other intractable problems. Our countries, the US of A, our intractable problem is the Republican Party. That's our intractable problem. But severe malaria accounts for up to half of malaria deaths and is considered a reliable proximal indicator of mortality, said Dr. Mary Hamill, who leads the World Health Organization's malaria vaccine implementation program. I do expect we will see that impact. Okay. And this article that I printed out from the web had a whole list of, in the thread, I think that's what you call it, comments about this. Here's one comment, and I didn't print out the whole thing, but there's a lot of comments. Here's one from Christy Knotts, Knotts, and it was like 3 hours ago. She says, and she is a Trumper if I've ever heard of one. Let me put my glasses on. This is kind of small print here. I am not putting any of that into my body. As a child, I couldn't say no, but I can think, act, and speak for myself now. I do not and will not take that. They keep saying how safe, how effective, and even have the vaxxed, meaning us, like people like me who have been vaccinated, have the vaxxed, telling everyone to go get vaxxed so the spreading will stop. Can you please explain how it's gonna stop the spread when all the family and friends around me that had gotten the shot still got COVID? Now, I don't know why she got onto this thread about this malaria vaccine, but she sounds like an angry Trumper, an angry Republican, the type that would invade on January 6th, our capital. Okay, last show, I told my thousands and thousands of listeners about this list of, which was a timeline of childhood vaccinations. And I couldn't find the article. And this is toward the end of the show. And I told my listeners about a few of the milestones. But here, I found the article. Okay. Let me, and the print on this is quite small too. So I have to get out my trusty magnifying glass here. By the way, I really need to go get eye surgery for cataracts that are just starting up. Yeah, I can still read with my glasses and things, but I'm going to need to get it done if any of my thousands and thousands of listeners out there actually care. Okay. Oh, geez. Okay. In 1855, Massachusetts issues the first state school vaccine mandate in the United States for smallpox. And I told you that the first vaccine mandate was issued by General George Washington, who insisted that his Continental Army get vaccinated for smallpox. So this was back in Revolutionary War times. Okay, anyway, onward. In 1905, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the right of states to require vaccinations. A separate decision in 1922 specifically upholds states' rights to require vaccinations to attend school. And this was a few years before COVID-19, but you get the idea. Okay. Okay, I will do this again next week. I'm running out of time again, and KPCA cuts me off at 58 minutes. Okay, quick. 1945, the first influenza vaccine is approved in the U.S., first for military use, then for civilians the next year. Flu vaccine development becomes a high priority after the 1918 Spanish influenza pandemic, which hit soldiers particularly hard. In 1948, the first combined vaccine, including diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, becomes available in the U.S. Combined vaccines are the key to making immunization easier and more cost-effective. Okay, real quick, and this is the last one. 1949, the last case of community-acquired smallpox is reported in the United States. Okay, like I say, I'm going to do this again next week. But for right now, I've got to play my play-out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. Okay, if I can get in a few words, this may not show up in the radio broadcast of this, but the YouTube people, goodbye until next week, and the radio people, this will be broadcast on the 10th Sunday of this month on KPCA LP 103.3 FM. So long, everybody.